Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk with somebody who overcame some challenges to create an amazing business that sells delicious and healthy Greek foods all around the world. And his story is so inspirational. There's so much to take away from it. We've made him our professional of the year. And so wonderful to have him with us. Tassos Chronopoulos is with us. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Very well. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and it's so funny. I go to your website, which has all of the wonderful products, and right on the opening page there is fig spread. I didn't know that you sell fig spread, and just bought some at a farmer's market the other day. So now I know. Now I know where to get the good stuff.
It's fresh fig, you know.
Oh,
go ahead.
Fig is just delicious, and that's just one of the many products that you offer. I want to tell everybody, the website is your name, tassos.com, if you want to check out some of the amazing products there. For you, Tassos, how did this begin? Your journey into a world-recognized company where people just enjoy your products. How did it all begin for you?
Well, it's a long story, you know. I don't know what part of my life you want me to discuss with you, but I'm 84 years old, so there's a long history behind this accomplishment.
Well, let's go back to your family, your upbringing, and how that got you into as a Greek immigrant. Let's mention that too for some clarity there as well, and that your business is family owned and operated. Tell us about the beginning of the business.
Well, I was born May 1940 during World War II, and at a time where everything in Greece, in Athens, where I was born, was bombed by the Nazis. So even my birthday was not registered for May 2nd, 1940. Whoever was born in 1940 was listed as January of 1940. This is how messy Greece was.
Mm.
And at that time, schools were basically bombed. There were no desks, there were no blackboards, there were nothing there. So we, my mother and father had their own story, how they arrived in Greece and in Athens, and the problem that I had at that time was that during World War II. They both were great believers of education. So, in fact, my father was born in a village in Peloponnese, southern Greece, and it was his uncle, his mother's brother, that got him by the hand and brought him to Athens walking, because at the time there were not but horses to take you from one place to another. You were talking about the 1920s. So both of my father worked very hard in Athens, selling newspapers, going to school at night, getting to finish his school, his uncle signing shoes in the city of Athens, downtown, and going to college. He was older than my father, so he had finished high school. Going to the university at night to study basically business and economics. And then when he finished, he was able to get call it a scholarship of some sort in Germany, because he was after the war when he finished his education. finance and economics, and he became one day, especially in 1960, right before I left Greece, the president of the National Bank of Greece, and he was sent later on in New York to be part of the World Bank for the United Nations. So everyone and my father was involved with the press, and he was the first person to create the health insurance group for all the people, journalists, mechanics, even the people that they were selling newspapers in Greece. So education was something that my parents really believed on. I was in high school because the schools in the grammar school, they were, blown out. My father decided, because my sister was about 4 years older than me, to take us to a private school. So we started going to a private school for myself for grammar school and my sister for high school. But then a third child was born, and then a fourth child was born, and I started thinking, how will my parents find the money to keep all 4 kids in private schools? So by the third year of high school, I decided to go to night school and then work daytime. Find a job and then go to night school to finish my night school. So I did find a job because I had taken English and German as courses in my high school. Actually, the Goethe Institute I went to after school, but the English language was part of our courses in high school. So I used the English language and the German language to go to, and because I knew a lot of our ancient history, to go into the Parthenon in Athens and guide the visitors to the Parthenon. And there is when I met 2 professors from the United States who I guided to see the Parthenon and they had the Museum of Athens and the theater there. And they said, what do you plan to do when you grow up? I said, well, I'm finishing this summer, and I plan to go to Germany. They said, why don't you come to the United States? I said, well, that would be beautiful, because at the time, I had seen the Marines parading in front of the monument of the unknown soldier in Greece when we were freed by the United States. I was listening to the American music with the platters and through the radio, that is to say, all kinds of music, Dean Martin, Sinatra, call them. They were in Greece. In fact,
wow.
They even had the best ambassadors of the United States were the singers of the United States. Harry Belafonte, I had to go to climb up a wall to listen to him because the tickets were sold. So I was in love with the American movies because it was Kirk Douglas and all the other cowboys playing. We started dancing blues and rock and roll by Elvis Presley. So all these things had become part of Americana in Greece, in Athens. And I thought, why don't I think about going to the United States? So the professor, I said, I have no problems, but my English is not perfect. The guy said to me, no, you're going to do all right. Come to the United States. I said, well, what am I supposed to do? They said, well, first of all, we have to come and meet your family. So they came. And my father did not believe that I can go to the United States. And so did my mother, so my uncles and aunts and everybody else. So when they came to the United States, they sent me a letter. And they said, we find you a school to go to. I says, where is it? They said in Louisiana. So at the time it was the Northeast Louisiana State College. Now it has become a university. And my father, when he took me to the airport, he couldn't believe that I will come here. So I came here with 2 suitcases, one with books and the other with my clothes. But what happened when I came to school, obviously I had no money. I came here with about $30. I believe these are the gifts that my relatives gave me. And I tried to find a job when I went to Monroe, Louisiana. And it was a restaurant there owned by Greeks. And I went and I worked on the cash register. So I was getting some money there, and to feed myself, I was living in a dormitory. Before I moved to the dormitory, I was living in one of the owners' homes. The restaurant was named The Rendezvous. So in this restaurant, I met a lot of nice people as a cashier, and a lot of singers that they were coming from various places because it was a bar there. So anyway, I had saved enough money to go to stay at the dorm at Northeast Louisiana in a pre-engineering school, and I was blessed to have my classmates don't look at me as a foreigner, but as a human being who was talking to them, and they were talking to me, and they were inviting me to their home and having something to eat, even cornbread at the time, and I thought, my God, these people must be very poorer than Greece. But this was cornbread. It was the bread that down south was great. So anyway, I took my courses, and my classmates invited me to join a fraternity, the Sigma Tau Gamma fraternity. Finally, I became the president, but the pre-engineering was over, so I had to transfer to an engineering school where I went to Louisiana Tech. At Louisiana Tech, things were a little different. Now it's university again. There I met, I was working most of the time at night in gas stations and still going to school in daytime. Summertime I was doing work in construction, digging ditches and everything else on the expressway. And it was the work that I had to do was, it was affecting my education. I didn't have enough time to do all the things that I was supposed to have done. At the same time, being a foreign student, there were different philosophical attacks about foreign students, because at the time there were people coming here to study petroleum engineering from Iran, from Iraq, all these countries, and the teachers were a bit, the professors, they were a bit, unhappy to have foreign students in the classroom. In fact, with me, my professor in chemistry said, "You can make A's here, but you're going to flunk. You're not going to get a degree from the school." So it was that key that made me think, where do I go now? And I heard at the time, if you cannot find a job in Chicago, you cannot find a job in the United States, nowhere. So I was able to get a car. I went to the bank to get a loan. The bank said, you have to have your parents sign the loan. I said, my parents are in Greece, but the bankers have heard about me because as the president of the Foreign Students Association, I introduced a lot of foreign ministers and politicians when they came to the campus to speak to the student union. And the president of the university President Taylor treated me unbelievably beautifully. And the dean of the engineering school, Dr. Thickman, because my skin was dark, because I was Greek and I was swimming, and they would not allow me to go to the dormitory because at the time black and white people do not mix. He had me stay at his mother's home. This area, Roston, Louisiana, was right next to the very, very big black city with a black school, and the black and white. You could see the streets where they were paved. It was a white neighborhood. Where there were dirt, it was a black neighborhood. That's how bad it was at the time. So, with the help of Dr. Thickman, I was able to get the loan because he knew of my quality of as a human being and also as a student. So I took the car and I came to Chicago. And here I found a job with the G&W Electric Specialty. I was on my third year I was actually on my junior year in mechanical engineering. And I registered at IIT in Chicago night school. So working at G&W Electric, I worked with a team that we did the transformers, electric transformers that you can put on the ground. And also, this is very, very important what I'm saying now. This was happening in the 70s. And also the electrical distribution, underground electrical distribution. Until then, everything was up on the air at the top of poles and whatever, which they are still doing now. And this system was used in the underground. If we had continued doing this today in this country, we would not have a problem with windstorms or rainstorms or snowstorms or anything else. But the system is still alive, and you will see it if you go to an area where the homes, a subdivision, for instance, you don't see any poles around the streets. The electricity goes underground. Having this on hand, I was able to finish and go to work for U.S. Steel after I got my degree. There I worked with a team to try to protect Lake Michigan from all the problems that we had with pollution. And we clean up the lake. But when we cleaned up the lake, we had also designed the electric furnace to create steel. The government at the time said, no, you're not going to do that in the United States. You're going to send the equipment in Japan. So the Japanese at the time, we had to do a skyscraper here in Chicago. It was the Sears and Roebuck building, the tallest skyscraper in Chicago at the time. And the steel came in from Japan much cheaper than we could make it here in the east side of Chicago. U.S. Steel closed their offices. So this was then when I decided what the hell I'm going to do with my life. And I opened up my own company as a design and construction company. There I was able to look at the weathers, the problem that the winters give us to construction, and I started manufacturing buildings inside a factory here in a suburb of Chicago, and started building high-rise buildings, apartment buildings, shopping centers, and the walls and the roofs, bringing them over here on the ground and set them up, and that was it. And we did that all across the country. I lost a lot of friends during the war in Vietnam, and I was always responsible, feeling, why, nobody drafted me at the time because I was not an American citizen. But my friendship with the American students was better than with my family members in Greece. They were like a family to me. So when I moved in the south side of Chicago in Palos Heights, I looked at and I lost my last friend who, with him I was playing basketball at Louisiana Tech, Jesse, and he left his wife and his children alone because when he went to Iraq, he was around the bombs that they were hitting the petroleum, and he was breathing. He got cancer. He died. So I was feeling guilty that I have not done anything for those that I knew, and I asked the Palos Heights mayor if he can allow me to build a monument to peace, and he said yes. Don't worry about it. I design it. I build it, and it's free from me to you. So we built. It was the time. I don't know how old you are, but during Carter's time, we lost 5 guys trying to save the people that they were left in the American embassy down there, and I said at least these guys, we need to put their names on the monument. So I did the monument. It took a lot of press because of the nature of the monument, because I had listed all the dead from the Civil War to the Vietnam War, and I had named it to peace. So my father, at the time, had come home here because he had cancer in the throat. He was a big smoker. And I took him around to show him the buildings I had done downtown Chicago, in Lake Geneva. I showed him pictures of the hotels I did in Philadelphia, down in Arizona. Because telephone centers for AT&T. So when my father saw this monument, he says to me, "And what the hell have you done for Greece?" I said, "I have sent 3 kids to universities. What is your question? Why are you asking me?" He said, "Your kids are American." I said, "Yeah, of course, but they're my kids." At the time, I had one. My daughter at the University of Michigan, she had finished Purdue University in political science. My son was finishing medical school, Obiagani, University of Illinois, and my other son was going into Loyola to get his PhD in neuropsychology. So I was feeling that I had done something. But my father brought my attention to, what have you done for the country that you were born? Well, when my father passed away, around the cemetery there were olive trees. And I looked at the olive trees. And then I went back to see from where these olive trees started from. And I noticed that history had it that they were started in Greece, the island of Crete, which was at the time a Minoan civilization that later on all these islands in the Aegean got together, they became part of Greece. And that the olive trees were across the Asia, like in Palestine, for instance, all the way up to the Black Sea, which the Greeks had taken them to plant them, and they had 2 things that they were producing: olives and wine. The olives were also pressed, and they were made olive oil, and they were so important in society that in the Olympic Games, the Olympians that they received, they finished first, they would get a jar of olive oil rather than a gold medal. That was the gold medal at the time. As far as the grapes, they took them from Greece, they went to Spain, all the way to England. Now, if you are Christian, I don't know your faith, you know that Christ, the Christians, when they baptize a child, they put their olive oil, they do the cross with olive oil in their hands and their forehead.
Mm-hmm.
And And when they take communion, it has wine. These are the two things that Christ and the apostles were using when they were alive. And the olive tree, in the Christian philosophy, it was blessed by Christ because it bended when they tried to cut it down and to make it, to use it for the cross. I mean, this is the mythology, okay? So I said to myself, my God, nobody has done anything about it. And that's what I started. I started with the olive oil. But what I have done with the olive oil, I have pitted the olives to make the olive oil. And when I brought it to the United States, every store in the United States had corn oil. I don't know if you were here on this earth during this period. That was in the late 80s, 35 years ago. So we started using olive oil, and as soon as we got in the market, the big brands started taking out the corn oil and bringing olive oil in. As to the olives, if you eat an olive with a pit in it, you have a chance to break your teeth. So I said, what if I find a machine to pit the olives? So I was the first one to pit the olives. And at the same time, I said to myself, and what if we stuff the olive with an almond or with something so that it can have a different taste? So I experimented the stuffed olives with garlic, with almond, with jalapeno, with red peppers. And I brought this thing here. Now, people that I went to that they had at the time big grocery chains in Chicago, to some of them I have built the shopping centers and the stores were there.
But Tassos, so I have to jump in here. We're almost out of time today, but I got to tell you, you were on the forefront of the Mediterranean diet, which is hugely popular today for people that are watching their health. And when we talk about the extra virgin olive oils, it's so well done that it's gotten the number one rank by Consumer Reports in the United States. Thumbs up from the Chicago Tribune. Amazing story. There's so much I want to talk to you about next time we get together, especially your affinity for American music while you're growing up in Greece. It's almost as if you gravitated toward it, like you just needed more of that.
You know, let me say this to you. The Harlem Globetrotters, remember the basketball team?
Sure. Globetrotters, yeah,
okay.
Of course.
Do you remember Dizzy Gillespie?
Great jazz player, sure.
Okay. These people were the best American ambassadors to the world because they filled stadiums. Their music was happy music.
Yep.
Sinatra's I Did It My Way, this has become, to be honest with you, this is what saved me.
Wow.
This song saved me because I had come a point in my life being, considered, not a white guy in Louisiana, that I wanted to kill myself because I didn't want it to fail. And my radio started the song. I Did It My Way. And I said, shit, I'm going to continue.
Good for you.
The music, the music that we play today is for animals only. The music that we had in the 60s and 70s and 80s was music with messages.
I was just going to say that, honestly and truly. And by the way, I'm up there in age. I've been playing music on the radio for 4.5 decades. I started when I was in high school and still do. And I play music from the 70s and 80s. So
congratulations.
Well, thank you. And congratulations to you. And it's interesting how we take it for granted. myself growing up here in the United States, these artists like Sinatra and on, we just look at that as, well, that's good music, and that was part of our life and heritage, whatever. You coming from another country and not having that there, it was, as I see here, so inspirational to you and changed your life. And you know what? You did it your way. In terms and a lot through there. We're out of time. Tassos, fabulous talking with you. I want to tell everybody the website to look at these products, including the extra virgin olive oil and the fig spread, by the way, tassos.com. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story, and looking forward next time we might have a chance to get together again.
This is, to add something about the olive oil, this is the best medicinal product that you can have. If you just take one little teaspoon of olive oil in the morning and one at night, your blood pressure, your heart, your brain, everything works. Think about it. I'm 84 and a half years old and I'm still working.
Yeah.
Because of the olive oil.
And sharper than ever. Thank you again. Anyway. We'll catch up soon, okay?
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.